So that takes us to our vision for leads. And if we kind of reverse back to about 1994, and I'll go through a timeline here in a second, the LEADS vision, which stands for Law Enforcement Activity and Data Systems, has a lot of catchphrases. You've heard a lot of presentations already about, being regional, sharing information, multi-jurisdictional. So you see a lot of that language in the vision statement. But I pointed out because it is true, and we do hold true to those statements about sharing information and crossing jurisdictional boundaries, as cliche as it may sound. So here's another thing. Hopefully this works for you. We have, in 1994, we began to pursue grant funding, and then in about 1998, we actually renewed that funding and created a video that explained what it was that we wanted to do. How did we want this LEADS vision to be carried out? What did we want it to look like when we were done? And so this is from 1998. It's only about 3 minutes long. The sound might be a little bit off, so just holler at Heather if it's getting too crazy. I can cut it off and we can move on. But I really think it's important to show that this is the vision that we had, because then as we talk through the rest of the presentation, you can see that it actually came true, and we get that payoff of saying this is what we wanted to do, and 10 years later we have it. It's already done. So let's see how this goes.
Require you to enter information more than once, no matter how many forms an incident requires. Significant wait time at the jail will be saved when pre-booking information is forwarded to the jail from the crime scene. Officers will always know immediately when jail overcrowding impacts their decisions in the field. Electronic reports will eliminate report shuttling in the future. This alone will save a significant amount of officer time. But the time savings will also be felt by case managers, prosecutors, and record staff as well when lost reports are eliminated. Frantic searches to meet arraignment deadlines will be a thing of the past. Distribution tasks will be virtually eliminated as the system identifies who needs or wants to see incident information. We can also teach the system to perform time-consuming tasks in both a more efficient and effective manner. An automated case management system considers incident type, priority, solvability factors, department policy, case complexity, location, existing case loads, the expertise required, and schedules, as well as previous encounters with the subjects and vehicles and MOs. In an instant, the system can recommend case assignments to the inactive files, to specific investigators, to the prosecutor directly, or to the supervisor for assignment. Investigators receiving those assignments will no longer spend hours gathering case information. One of the most powerful features of a new system will be the ability to share information with other people and systems. It will no longer be necessary to copy volumes of homicide investigations. The prosecutor can access that information as it becomes available, and he no longer runs the risk of losing a case over a jammed copy machine. We can expect to get better information back from other systems. Disposition sheet information can be automatically emailed directly to the field and investigating officers involved, rather than stacked in corners awaiting support staff to determine which cases belong to which officers. The system of the future will provide a gateway from the laptop to WASIC, NCIC, and quite literally the world through the Internet. Officers should be enabled to share ideas and information with law enforcement staff throughout the country. Our alternatives are limited. On January 1 of the year 2000, the current core systems, CLEAR, CRY, and WARNS, will no longer be operational, and we have long since crossed the line where manual systems managing paper reports are feasible. This vision is obviously too far-reaching and expensive to implement all at once. A migration strategy has been developed and consists of 4 stages. Stage 1 is funded by the grant and will provide a replacement of our core systems currently available from the LISA menu. The first evidence in the field that these future plans are being implemented will be the change in the general incident report coming sometime after the first of this year. The new form is being designed to help prepare us for the laptop reporting. Though it is impossible to incorporate electronic functionality on paper, this new report is intended to familiarize the officer with some of the reporting options the computer can provide. In the interim, some written reports will be scanned into systems for immediate distribution. Mobile display computers will be phased in according to each agency's plan. Our new information system will begin to run simultaneously with our current systems, and in October of 1999, our current Lisa menu systems are scheduled to be turned off.
Okay. So, again, it's kind of fun to watch that because we obviously take a lot of pride in the fact that we set out to do something and then actually accomplished it, even though it does take a lot of time. We don't get the instant gratification of buying something today and using it tomorrow, or committing to something today and using it next week. It does take time. So let me walk you through a quick timeline of how this started. And I'm not going to get into all the nuts and bolts. You guys have seen other presentations on that, and there are people that are much more of an expert than I am for sure. But I do want to share the story of how we got there. 1994, we started with a commitment from both the Sheriff's Department in the county and the largest city, which would be Tacoma. And they committed to pursuing COPS funding together. So COPS More Grant has been around for a while. And they said, well, let's not compete with each other. Let's actually go in together and come out with something that is similar. 1996, we were awarded the grant in the amount of $1.3 million. The goal was to redeploy 43.3 officers through a redesign of the systems. It would also replace a 14-year-old document imaging system and provide funding to perform a business process review and a business process redesign. And again, it's important to look that the redeployment of 43.3 officers was not literally 43.3 officers, but it was achieved by kind of redesigning the system and looking at the workflows, finding the inefficiencies, so that officers, instead of spending time, shuttling paper around or driving information or waiting for information, they were actually on patrol doing the work that we want them to be doing instead of the administrative overhead. 1998, we applied for another COPS More grant, and that was awarded for $2.3 million. We redeployed 68.8 officers with that grant. We were also kind of at the beginning of Y2K and thinking about that and what the implications were. We obviously, prior to Y2K, did not have a solid grasp on what it meant. Hindsight is 20/20 on that one, because I think there was a lot of hype and not a lot of problems, but different discussion for a different day. The 1998 grant was also going to implement web-based mobile options. So instead of just relying on client installs of CAD and RMS, we were going to look at options for presenting web-based solutions to send the information over the air to the officers in their cars. Other things, NCIC 2000, if you were around back then, you knew that NCIC was upgrading their system, and so each state message switch had to upgrade theirs, and then at the regional level, you had to upgrade yours. So that was also part of the grant. UCR to IBR, that refers to the uniform crime reporting versus the incident-based reporting. I think that one actually took several years, and as of about 2007, we are completely certified with IBR for all of our reports. We still do both a UCR and an IBR distribution, but everything can be done by IBR now. And kind of at the end of this phase that you're seeing here, in 2001, all of the leads positions were fully funded. So that represented about $2.1 million, 11 technical staff, and 5 operational staff. And that's a key milestone because it's the sustainability that you talk about when you apply for grants. It's the kind of long-term goal that everybody strives for. You're not quite sure how you're going to make it happen, but in 1994, there was a commitment made, and they stuck with that commitment. So I'd like to really kind of highlight some of the phrases there, that there was a commitment to pursue COPS funding together, and as a result, even though it did take time, which everything does, 7 years later, all of those positions that were funded through the different grant opportunities were built into the permanent budget.